Hey, what's up? McT here again. We're going to talk today a little bit about the three essential aspects, in my humble opinion, involved in the traditional grip. There you go, traditional grip. There's three things you really need to know about it that make all the difference in the world, and sometimes I don't hear them discussed at all. One of them is the rotation of the wrist on the hand using the traditional grip. So I got this little deal here, a little promo for Corona. Maybe they'll send me some. But anyway, you want to be doing a movement that is almost identical to turning a doorknob, and as you can see this. Okay, that's the motion involved in traditional grip. And you can see it here. You don't need that. Okay, this is my grip is a hybrid grip. I don't use molar or any of that stuff. I just use what eventually allowed me to do what I want to do the most, and went from there. So, anyways, that's the rotation. It's the turning the doorknob rotation. Okay, so that's something to work on, just keeping it right in there instead of, you know, that sort of thing. It's just getting all the height I need, and you can bring it down and get back into your finger stuff again. But that's essentially it. As far as the rotation goes, depending on your setup and how you play, I find for the most part that my wrist is straight. I don't curve my hand in or anything like that. I try to keep it as natural and as loose as possible. The next, number two, I guess, would be the most overlooked thing, and that's this part of your hand right here. Okay, and that goes in there, and that's where you're going to basically keep the control of your stick. Okay, it's again, it's overlooked from the viewpoint of this. For a drumstick and traditional grip is the equivalent to this in the match grip. Okay, so that's where your control and your direction is coming from. Direction as in where your stick's going if you're playing up on a ride cymbal or back on a snare, or playing on an auxiliary snare, or playing left hand lead, which would be a really great idea. That's the direction of your stick. But that's where you're hanging on to it, basically. This stuff is the control factor, the inside movements, if you will. Okay? So you can do a little exercise where you kind of go just bring in the elements from using the wrist rotation to make the stick go up and down, hanging on to it in here with the crotch of your hand, if you will, and then adding in the thumb and the fingers, and the only thing that's going to develop that is time in. You've got to put in the time. Many analysts and psychologists will tell you, you got to do the work. So that's where that's coming from. I'm brutally out of shape, so my speed with fingers is not great, but you can hear the power in that. That's just that, and using the wrist rotation. So that's probably the very first thing you want to be working on, is just being able to control that. and then start adding in the little intricacies that give you the details, like sort of faster flam stuff is when I really need fingers in my traditional grip. Something like those inverted flam taps, gotta squeeze those off with my fingers. So any sort of tap exercises, single-handed stuff is probably the best stuff to develop traditional grip. I like a thing with triplets that I stole off my metronome, and it's just moving the accent down the triplet and adding more accents. So the first bar is just move it to the next accent. Right? Move it to the third, or next beat, move it to the third. Okay, then add 2. Right? Invert that. First and third. Then the last bar is a decrescendo, which is the hardest thing, I think, in percussion to do accurately and consistently. Right? So you get So that's a great exercise. It's a wonderful warm-up, and you can really work on your technique. When you get it faster, you can start using fingers. Like that. A little snap of the wrist and then controlling it with the fingers. Right? Stuff like that. It's just, that's what'll get you there, and again, it's time in. And before we shut this down, the third thing that you need to know about traditional grip is, with the exception of one thing, there's no reason to use it whatsoever. The exception being, of course, if you're playing a snare drum that you're carrying on a sling and it's creating an angle like that, and you have to get over that rim, that's where you use your traditional grip. Other than that, it's absolutely pointless. There's no reason to use it, and if you use a larger setup, you want to go over here or up here, it's just so much more logical to use match grip. And there's everything that you could possibly do with match grip or with traditional grip, you can probably do better with match grip. I have a feeling I'm going to have to do this whole video over again because I forgot to shut the music off. But anyway, that's the deal. Okay, so that's traditional grip.